Hello, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you're doing well and ready for a little bit of shoulder, neck, chest release, this area. Today we're going to be using a strap. If you have a yoga strap or maybe a belt that's this long, which is possible. If you don't have a yoga strap, you could use a length of rope or a dowel even, right? It doesn't have to be slack. It's going to be a slightly different experience, but I will give cues. Sorry. I will give cues for both. So a dowel or a broomstick or a strap or something that you can use to hold on to. And if you don't have any of those things, though I think you probably do, you could even use a towel or something like that. If you don't have any of those things, I will also try to give you some cues for no props. Okay, let's start lying down. Now you have the option to lie down here just flat, particularly if you don't have any props or pillows. But if you do have a pillow, I probably should mention that at the start too, you could start to make yourself a little platform. So I'm going to do something kind of like this, and then you could also put a pillow or something on top of that, or, any kind of lift. And it could be on an angle, or it could be solid or flat. Now this could work. Basically what we're looking for is some sort of lift of the upper body without the head dangling back too far. So a lift in the upper body so that your chest opens up a little bit. The arms have to come below the line of the torso. So you get a little bit of opening through the chest. This isn't actually particularly comfortable for me right now, so I'm going to switch my position, but you stay where you are or take the time to get yourself comfy where you need to be. There, now my head feels more supported. And then for a few breaths, inhale through your nose and exhale, sigh your breath away through your mouth. Depending on how your chest or your shoulders feel, you might flip your palms up, and sometimes that can help keep the opening going. You could bring your arms out to the side. You could do a few snow angels with your arms even, just to see if there's a position that feels a little bit better, a little bit more open-y or open, I suppose, across the front of the chest. And if you don't have any props underneath, you just take a little loop of your shoulder blades toward each other to lift your heart up to the sky. Notice how your breath is flowing here. Maybe it feels a little bit more open in this position. It might not. That is fine. Okay. Also, feel how the breath feels. Does it feel smooth? Does it feel choppy? Does it feel deep or shallow? Right? Notice the qualities here of the breath. And take a few more moments here. One more inhale. One sweet exhale. And then slowly bring enough movement back to your body that you're able to just roll to one side to come off your props. You could always bring one or a pillow under your head or cradle your head on your arm for a couple breaths. And then remove any props out from behind you and then roll back onto your back, just so you let the spine neutralize for a few breaths. And then draw your knees into your chest, take a little rock from side to side. You might take circles here with your legs in your hip sockets. You could extend the legs, you could shake them out, whatever you need to do here. And then pause back in the center. Now from here, you might just keep one hand on each knee or shin, or you could cross or interlace your hands over top of your shins. And you'll find that will deepen the compression a little bit on the front of the hip, which is fine as long as it's pain-free. Option to stay here, or you might gently curl your nose toward your knees without yanking or tugging through the neck. Last option is to maybe push your shins up to the sky, getting a deep rounding through the spine. And then come back to center, a little rock or release to shake out. And then take your right arm out to the side. You might shift your hips to the right also a little bit. So right arm to the side, hips to the right. As you exhale, lower your knees to the left. Now I don't care so much about the twist, but what we're trying to do is get an opening into the chest here. So you might deepen the twist a little bit. You could take a single leg twist, and sometimes the pulling of the knee, or the gravity pulling, not your hand, of the knee towards the floor will open up this chest or in the front of the shoulder a little bit more. Don't worry if your right shoulder blade lifts off the earth, that's fine. What we're looking for is that release across the front of the shoulder while also getting a sneaky little twist here. Sometimes legs crossed feels good. So go wherever you need to go. And as always, right, if it's too deep of a twist, if it feels uncomfortable, please feel free to bring a pillow or a block underneath your knees or between your thighs. But what we're looking for again is that most of the sensation to be across the front of that right chest, maybe even through the armpit, across the shoulder. And then slowly on your inhale, return to center. We'll switch sides. So left arm out to the side now. Maybe shift the hips left. And then again, as you exhale, lower your knees to the right. So again, I'm not too concerned about the twist necessarily. We're just using it as a way to get into that left side. So for me, with my knees stacked, I don't really feel anything in that left shoulder. So I'm going to go for a single knee twist. And then allowing my left shoulder blade to lift up a bit and the left knee to come towards the floor. Now I'm getting into that left armpit across the front of the shoulder and into the chest. You could bend your elbow and maybe that changes the sensation of the stretch here. And of course, if you want a prop underneath your left knee or between your thighs, go somewhere where you're going to get a little bit more ease. If you want to deepen it, you could even take your right hand and add the weight of it to the left thigh, drawing it a little bit closer towards the earth. Last breath here. And slowly, gently unwind. Back to center. That's a deep twist, no matter where you were for the start. Anyway, hug your knees into your chest, a little rock, and then you might start to rock and roll up and down your spine here. If that feels good for you, you go shoulder blades to sit bone, to shoulder blades to sit bones. Otherwise, roll to one side and press yourself up, and we'll meet on hands and knees. So then set up with hands outer shoulder width apart or wider. And this is really important for shoulder mobility, right? You don't want to work with the hands too close together because that starts to pinch the front of the joint. So nice and open. And then we'll start to move through cat and cow. So inhale, lift your tailbone, hollow through your lower back, broaden through the collarbones. Exhale, tuck your tailbone under, round through your spine. Really press the floor away from you. Inhale to dip the belly into cow. Exhale, round your spine into cat. So a few more of these undulations on your own time, on your own breath, and it could be really slow and unctuous. You might take some other movements here and get into your body move where you need to move. And then come back to center. I'm going to turn to face you. And if you have a chip foam block or a little bit of padding, it can be all nice here, particularly if your floor is a little bit hard. You don't necessarily need it. And then plant your left hand on your inhale. Pick your right arm up to the side. Maybe lift it up to the sky, right? Opening through the chest. As you exhale, thread underneath to the left. Don't get too comfy here, though. Press back into that left hand. Inhale up and exhale, thread. One more time. Inhale to open. Exhale, twist. And this is where you start to settle into the twist a little bit more. You might bring the back of the shoulder to the floor, the side of the head. You could bring cushioning underneath your head if you wish. And then you could press into the floor a little bit more. With your left hand, you could bring the heel of the hand to the crease of the right wrist, getting more traction on the right side. Or if you'd like to open up again a little bit more through that left side, you might lift the arm up and down. You might lift it straight up to the sky, or you might drape it behind your low back. So wherever you need to go for a couple more breaths. All right, and then plant your left hand back on the earth, press into it. Inhale, open, maybe up, maybe just to the right, and then a little wiggle or shake in the center to release anything that might have got stuck. And then we'll switch sides, so plant your right hand. Inhale the left arm out to the side, maybe up to the sky. Exhale, thread to the right. And again, same thing. Inhale, open. Exhale, thread. One more time. This is all really great work for shoulder mobility. Maybe you bring the back of the shoulder or the side of the head down. And you could press into that right hand a little bit more. You might bring the heel of the hand to the crease of the left wrist. Maybe you do a couple openings of the top arm to the sky, or drape the hand behind the low back. Please feel free to go wherever you need to go. Last breath here. And then plant your right hand again. Press into the floor. Inhale. Open and unwind. Shake it out a little bit. A little wiggle or cat and cow. And then, whichever way works best for you, you could stay here on hands and knees, or maybe you tuck your toes and lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. So it might not seem like it, but downward facing dog takes quite a bit of shoulder mobility, right? Your arms are reaching straight up overhead here, particularly if the knees are bent and you're able to really press the floor away from you with your hands. Hug your upper arm bones toward each other. Now, as with most yoga poses, right? Just because I want to draw the focus to one area doesn't mean you're not necessarily getting into other parts of the body as well. Let your head hang heavy, neck long, and then bend your knees. Look forward. On your exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat, standing forward fold. Fingertips to shins or the earth or blocks. Inhale, little partway lift. Back and neck stays long. Exhale, let it all go. 2 more. And then bend your knees. Tuck your chin in toward your chest. Slowly start to roll up to standing. 1 vertebra at a time. As slow as you need to go. Till eventually you come all the way up. Take a couple loops of your shoulders up, back, and down. A little wiggle, noodle, and release. Okay, grab your strap or your dowel or whatever you're going to be using. Again, if you don't have any of those things, that's okay. You can mimic these first couple motions or movements without holding on to anything. So take your hands about outer shoulder width. So we're quite a bit wider than that. So much so that the strap or dowel ends up sort of at like hip height where your pockets would be. And then if you're using a strap, tension on the strap. If you're using a dowel, tension on the dowel. And then squeeze the bum a little bit, belly button to spine. As you inhale, lift the strap up and overhead. And then maybe you come back a little. As soon as we do this, we tend to dump into the low back. So keep squeezing your bum, spine long. Maybe this feels great. Maybe that's where you want to stay. Maybe you bring the strap all the way back down. Now you can let go of your strap or dowel and bring your hands back forward. Or again, tension on the strap, lift it back up, overhead, and then forward. Now at any point, if that felt like your elbows had to bend or it was too tight, take your hands wider. It'll give you more space. You might have to just go to skip around your head. Otherwise, if it felt like, no big deal, then take your hands narrower. So a few more of these. These are called shoulder flossing. Sometimes they're called dislocates, but we're not trying to dislocate. Right? Tension on the strap or on the dowel. Keep squeezing your bum. And this is a fantastic motion or movement to really get into the full range of motion of the shoulders, at least in this particular plane. All right, next time you come forward, release, shake it out a little bit. Again, if you were, right, no strap, you can just do the same motion. All right, take a narrower grip on your strap or your dowel. So about your downward facing dog width with the hands, outer shoulder width apart. And then if you don't have a strap, don't worry about it, just keep doing what we're doing. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Again, make sure your posture here is tall. So squeeze the bum, belly button to spine, tension on the strap, and then bring the strap back down behind your head, pause at the nape of the neck, and then come back up. And then slowly down, and quick up if you wish, or slow both ways. Now the whole time I want a lot of tension on the strap or a lot of tension on the dowel. So we're firing up these shoulder muscles a little bit while also opening, you can tell probably, the chest. Now again, try not to dump into the posture. And if you don't have a strap, just mimic the motion. Last breath here. All right, and then release, shake it out a little bit, get the blood flow back to the arms. Same, more or less, width on the strap. You can change it up, reach the arms up to the sky. Inhale here, lengthen through the spine. As you exhale, bring the strap, pull the arms over to the left. I want you to send your weight, your hips to the right. Okay, now pull down with the bottom arm, resist with the top arm. Do you feel that through the lats, the armpit? And then scoop this bottom arm under a little bit to lift the top arm up to the sky. And then bend your knees, tuck your tailbone under, pull over to the left a little bit more. And then come back to center. And then Center, yeah, sorry. And then shake it out a little bit. And then we'll go to the opposite side. So arms up overhead, posture tall and long. Inhale here. Exhale. Send the hips to the left, reach over to the right. Now again, pull down with the top arm, resist. Sorry, pull down with the bottom arm, resist with the top arm. Keep breathing. And then scoop the bottom arm up to lift the top arm over. And then bend your knees, tuck your tailbone a little bit, pull over to the right a little bit more. And then come back to square. And then inhale, back to center. Shake it out a little bit. Whew. Okay, now bring your strap or dowel or whatever you're using behind you. If you don't have a strap, you can bring your palms to your pelvis, fingertips pointing down. Now here you might have the palms facing back or forward, whatever works best on your body today. And nice tall posture. Wrap your elbows, your shoulder blades toward each other. Inhale, lift your heart up to the sky, right? So keep pulling on the strap, tension on the strap. So you're trying to pull the strap apart as much as you're squeezing the shoulder blades toward each other. Maybe this is where you stay. Maybe you lift the strap away from you. Maybe you start to glide the strap down. Squeeze the bum. Back the neck stays long. And then come back to standing. Last couple breaths. Maybe you lift the strap a bit further away from your low back. And then release. Shake it out a little bit. Okay, now we're going to go into Gomukhasana arms, which some of you might not even need a strap or a dowel for them. I'm going to suggest that most of you will. I do. So bring your strap or your dowel into your right hand and then bend your elbow. You can use your left hand to kind of snuggle that upper arm in toward your head a little bit more. And then reach around with the left hand to grab the strap or the dowel. Now I'm going to turn. It's going to look like I've got opposite arms, but my right arm is still up. Now I want you to think maybe of walking the fingertips toward each other. You don't have to. If they clasp, then great. You can also take a much wider grip if you wish. Pull down with the bottom hand and then think of opening through the chest. So shoulder blades wrap toward each other. Elbows reach in opposite directions from each other. Last couple of breaths here. Maybe you're feeling this through the triceps mostly in that top arm. Maybe you're feeling it across the front of the shoulder on the bottom arm. Okay, slowly, gently release. Shake it out a little bit. That's the cool thing about the strap, right? Dowel, you kind of need to still hold on to it or release it. And then we'll switch sides. There are other cool things about the strap too, I guess. I mean, maybe cool is not the word. Bend your left elbow. And again, you might use your right arm to snuggle it in towards your head. Nice tall posture. Reach around with the right hand to grab the dowel or the strap, or maybe nothing if you don't have any of those things, and that's fine. You could walk the fingertips toward each other, right? Maybe they meet and you don't even need the strap or dowel, and that's fine. You could have the hands much further away or quite a bit closer. But wherever you are, wrap your shoulder blades toward each other as you lift the top elbow and drop the bottom elbow. I guess not drop, reach the elbows away from each other. Now it's really easy to kind of go into this arched position through the back. So keep your spine long and a little bit of core work. Totally normal for one side to not feel nearly as stressful in this as the other. Also normal for both sides to feel really kind of interesting. Okay. And then slowly release, shake out your arms. We don't have a lot of time left. Oh, there's so much more I wanted to get into, but that's okay. You know, hopefully you're getting a nice opening through this whole area anyway. Grab your dowel or your strap again if you've put it down, and then bring your hands behind your back. So your palms can face back or forward. Doesn't matter. We're going to try both options. If one doesn't work for your shoulders, though, don't do it, right? Always pain-free range of motion. Okay. And then Little draw of belly button to spine, knees micro bend. As you exhale, come into your forward fold. Okay, so right away here, your shoulders want to dip forward, so wrap them onto your back. Tension on the strap or the dowel, or you could clasp your hands behind your back if you don't have a dowel or a strap. Elbows could be bent or straight, but I really want you to wrap your shoulder blades toward each other. Maybe you lift the strap or dowel up a little bit from your low back. Maybe you lift it all the way up to the sky, or even forward to the top edge of your mat. But again, try not to let your shoulders dip forward. You could change the width here on the grip. You could sway a little bit from side to side, right? So now, while the focus is still definitely the chest and shoulders, you're getting quite a bit of hamstring release here too. So make sure your knees are micro bent or even deeply bent. All right, bring your hands, your strap, your dowel back to the low back, and then switch to grip. So if you were palms facing down, now do palms facing up. Again, wrap the shoulder blades toward each other first before you start to lift your arms away from your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades toward each other. Make sure those shoulders don't dip forward. Again, you could rock a little bit from side to side. You could change the width of the grip, whether it's narrow or wide. And then slowly bring your hands down and release your dowel or your strap off to the side. And then with fingertips to your shins, couple partway lifts. Inhale to lift up. Exhale, let it go. 2 more. And then bend your knees, plant your hands, step down to hands and knees. Little wiggle or shake or cat and cow. Maybe you stay here, or if you'd like to see what downward facing dog feels like after all of that opening through the chest and shoulders, then a couple breaths, tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back. Maybe you don't feel any difference at all. Maybe it feels quite a bit more open, particularly through the shoulders. One more inhale. One sweet exhale. And then bend your knees, come back down to hands and knees. Shift your hips on one side so that we can make our way down to the floor. Tuck your tailbone under. Maybe you do a Pilates style roll down, or maybe you use your hands or forearms till eventually you come down onto the mat. Hug your knees into your chest. Take a little rock from side to side. And then take your knees wide out toward your shoulders or armpits. This is a really great place to stay for happy baby. Or maybe you kick your feet up to the sky. You could grab the backs of your thighs or somewhere along your legs, your ankles, or your feet. Maybe you rock a little bit from side to side. Just going where you need to go. And if there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, please feel free to go where you need to. You could end the same way we began, with a pillow or blocks underneath your back in that supported fish variation. You could rest flat on your back with your legs bent or straight. You could be on your side or in child's pose or a seated meditation, wherever you need to go. And there's no rush to get there. But once you have found your pose of rest, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose and exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And continue breathing however you need to. It could be in and out through your nose or your mouth. Notice how your breath is flowing. But then let go of your breath control. Return to your natural breath. And let go of any last muscle gripping or tension, particularly in your neck or your jaw. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. And stay here longer today if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.